thank you so much for being here. This is the Fireside conversation chat with the delectable, amazing Omoni Oboli. I'm going to do my best to do a moderator role. I don't do this usually, but I'm chatting with someone that has been my friend for over 15 years. So hopefully you enjoy this conversation, and hopefully you have one or two things to learn from it. We'll also make time for you to be able to ask questions. Can I see by show of hands, how many people watched the film earlier on, Omoni Oboli's Uprising? Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the film? Fantastic, awesome, we love it. Round of applause for Omoni Oboli, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So, Omoni, it's a decade of you writing, starring, producing, directing, executive producing movies for the big screen. How would you sum up that decade in a few words?
Nerve-wracking, for sure. Well, I'm just going to start from, somewhere around the beginning. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. What an absolute pleasure to be here. I love Ghana. I consider Ghana my second home. So hopefully you guys give me some sort of residency so that I can come here more often. Anyways, so my journey really started when I got back into the film industry as an actor. I did a bit of acting in my teenage years, and then I got back years later, almost a decade after I first came into Nollywood. And I went quite far, but coming back after 10 years, you're suddenly the new girl, and nobody wants a new girl, right? All the new girls were established, and nobody wanted a new girl. So it was blood, sweat, and tears, literally. So I used to write scripts. I've always written, even as a child. I wrote plays for my secondary school. I would write, produce, and direct plays. At the time, I didn't even know what I was doing. I just knew it was up to me to do it because I was head of Literary and Debating Society. So I started writing scripts again and would give it to producers. Listen, there are so many ways to get to the market. If one way is not working, try another way. And that's for young people here. I would write scripts and give it to producers and say, don't pay me, just give me a role. Because I just wanted to act, And these producers would take these scripts, obviously give it to a director, they would direct it. But when I would watch these movies, I just felt like it wasn't quite what I had in mind, because I write in pictures. When I'm writing, I can literally see the film. And then when I watch the films, not to say that they were not good, because not two directors will direct one script or one movie the same way. You all know that, right? But I felt like it wasn't me. So I thought to myself, if my stories or my scripts would have my DNA, then I would have to direct them myself. And it was a scary thought. There were no female directors in Nigeria at the time. It was really Amaka Igwe of blessed memory. She was the only female director. So thinking about it was very scary, because the film industry in Nigeria was largely patriarchal at the time. Not just directors, DOPs, sound guys, pretty much everyone except makeup artists were guys, and they were all very established guys. So coming in as an actor, because by then, I'd started to get more and more movie roles, and I would just shadow directors, always be behind the camera. This little woman, wasn't as big as this then, this little woman sitting, behind the camera, watching the directors. So I thought to myself, I probably need some sort of formal knowledge on this. So I took a short course at the New York Film Academy in New York, and I felt I was ready to go. And then I got back to Nigeria, and rude awakening, no one would give their funds to a rookie director to direct. So guess what? If I had to direct a movie, then I had to come up with the funds myself. And that was another roadblock, because we didn't have the funds. Young family, where was I going to get all that money from to make a film? So I started to talk to brands and all these people, and no one was really biting. After 4 years, I didn't even know 4 years had passed. I was just doing my thing, just acting, doing my thing. I was talking to a colleague, and he said to me, this is the same story you told me 4 years ago. And I realized that I had been talking for 4 years, and I had not made a film after film school. So I said to myself, I'm going to make this film by hook or crook. Well, not by crook, but you know what I mean. So I started to do pre-production with not enough money to finish the film. So gathered all the money in the family, and I'm like, I'm making this film. I don't care how, but we're making this film. And you would think that someone who didn't really have enough money and a rookie director would tell a very cute little love story, right? That would make sense. But no, I decided I was going to shoot in 3 states in Nigeria. And I was going to move cast and crew and equipment from one state to the next to the next. So anyways, to cut a long story short, when you really want to do something, when you're really ready for something, everything would come together to favor you. That's the truth. God came through. All the brands that I've been speaking to for 4 years that said no to me, everyone suddenly said yes. We started the film with not enough money to finish it. By the time we were done, we had money for post-production because everyone came through at the same time, and it was quite scary, but that's exactly what happened. So we had this big cast and crew. Majid was in my actual first film as a director. He was amazing. He's still my friend today. I love him so much because he just made it so easy. He didn't even behave like I was a rookie director. It was really tough. I mean, packing cast and crew and big equipment and trucks and generators and everything from one state to the next. And there were times where I actually cried real tears. I would go to a corner because I didn't want the crew to see me cry. They were mostly guys, and I was this tiny woman. I was like, if they see me cry, they'd be like, there you go, these women. So I was like, no, I'll go to a corner, cry, release all the tension, clean my eyes, and come back and say, okay, guys, let's go. Okay, But anyways, we did it. And my first film came out in the cinemas, and it was a huge success. But guess what? I didn't buy a car after the movie came out, and I made money from the film. I didn't buy a house. I took that money, and I made another film. So my second film, thank you. So my second film ended up being better than my first film. And after that, I didn't buy a car. I didn't buy a house. I took the money, and I made another film. Because people would always ask me, how do you keep going? You're making a film every year, sometimes 2 films in a year. How are you doing? I'm like, I don't eat the proceeds. I reinvest it. That's how you do it. You don't finish making a film and you go marry a new wife, or a new husband. Hey, Idris. We're both married, but Anyways, you don't go marry someone else or buy a car or a house. You make another film. Because you're a filmmaker, that's your job. So sometimes I hear people talk, oh, I'm a filmmaker. When was the last time you made a film? 10 years ago, and hello, what are you doing? What have you been doing for 10 years? Can you still call yourself a filmmaker? If this is your passion, no shades. If this is your passion and this is what you really love to do, then you should be actively working in the profession of filmmaking. Every time I'm passing through airports and they say profession, I write filmmaker, I'm proud because I have several films coming out year in, year out, and I can proudly call myself a filmmaker. We love this job. This is who we are. The truth is, you can't take yourself away from it. After my first film, I was like, this is so tough. How do you produce, act, direct? I can't do this, I can't do this. But we love it so much. We go back. It's like giving birth. Filmmaking is a birthing process. It's really that difficult. I can tell you, I have 3 kids. It's really that difficult. It's a birthing process. Yeah. New grandma. I love it. So it's a birthing process. But the minute the baby comes, and the baby's so cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. You want to go back. Women are weird people. You want to go back. You start thinking, oh, I want another baby. That's the same thing that happens with filmmaking. So if you really want to be a filmmaker, I'm talking to the young people in the house, then you have to stay the course. You have to keep going no matter how tough it gets. And it does get tough. Not to say that I didn't have issues even after my second film or my third film or even the last film, the uprising, as you guys just saw. Yay for the uprising. I'm already getting DMs of people who were in the building here that watched it and all of that. It was tough, even that.
I knew it was going to be hard for you to summarize, but you done well. Round of applause for Omoni. Because I have some real hard-hitting questions for her, so I had to find a way to just cut in there, like director's cut. So for the cinema business enthusiasts and film lovers in the room, Omoni's first film was a decade ago, Being Miss Elliot, 2014, and then followed up by The First Lady, 2015, followed up by Wives on Strike, 2016, 2017, Okafor's Law and Wives on Strike 2, 2018, Moms Are War, 2019, Love is War, and then there was a break.
COVID happened.
And then,
that's my excuse.
And here comes my next question, yeah? There was a break for 5 years from the big screen. But it was not just that kind of break that you were not doing anything. You were doing things actively, and I would say also you caught the streaming bug. Omoni is also very modest. She's become one of the most prolific filmmakers on YouTube as well, with the best films that you will see. Yeah, a round of applause for that. Literally, in the space of a year and a half. I remember when she was telling me she was going to do, I was like, something must be wrong with you. I don't understand what you're going to do, but hey, well done. So the question is this: why cinema? Why back in cinema? Knowing how very changed the landscape is, how very tough it can be in Africa when you're guaranteed those dollars that the streamers throw at you. Yes, I know you have the backdrop of being, you know, a great advocate and promoted it way back, but you could use your time better, like a number of your colleagues would say. Why come back to cinema now?
So first things first, cinema is my first love. My first film ever as a filmmaker was at the cinemas. I took the film to the cinema. So cinema is my first love. So I mean, I love the money that the streamers give to us. I'm not even gonna lie, right? I love the money that I make on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. It's easier money. However, there's something that you get from the cinema that you can't get anywhere else. You know, the Bible says that in the beginning, it was not good for man to be alone. It wasn't talking about a romantic relationship. It was talking about community. So that's what cinema gives you. Okay, my film just showed. There were a number of you watching it. People were oohing and eyeing together. People were crying together. Cinema in Nigeria is very loud. Have you ever watched a movie at the cinema in Nigeria? I don't know how it is in Ghana, but in Nigeria, it is loud. Like, you're crying, like, the person next to you, you don't know the person. And then they're patting you on the back. You're laughing and falling on someone's girlfriend. You don't know the person. It's that loud. But you see, there's beauty in that. And that's how we are as Africans.
Right.
I mean, thank you. Even before the cinemas arrived, we were telling stories. I remember as a little girl going to the village to visit my grandma. It was one of the best times of my life. Every evening we sat around the tree telling stories. Perhaps that was the beginning of storytelling for me. You know, so it's part of us. It's part of our culture, right? So I love the fact that people go to the cinemas, and movies are more interesting when you watch them at the cinemas. Amen? They are. I mean, it's easier than sitting in your house, you know, just you there, or maybe you and one other person.
And you can pause.
And you know.
Pause it.
And you guys are just watching. It's not as much fun as when someone is saying, yay. Do you understand? That's how we are. Someone else to say, no, nah, no. Tell them. I love it. That experience, going to cinemas to do meet and greet, you know, we had some movies, we toured Nigeria with it, we went on like a cinema tour. Every morning we wake up in a new city, we go to the cinemas, the fans are watching the movies, we show up at, you know, once they're coming out and they're screaming, they're taking pictures. You can't get it at home. You can't. And it makes the filmmaker feel good. You feel satisfied because you can see firsthand how people are reacting to your film. They can watch it at home and maybe tweet about it, but anybody can lie, right? Because, I mean, you're not there. But seeing them live, watch the film, love the film, scream about it, cry, laugh, it's an experience that you can't get anywhere else.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Can you just maybe speak to you've had a lot of success with releasing films in cinemas. Can you speak to the marketing aspect? You know, we're talking about the Africa Cinema Summit. We're talking about, commercial viability of these cinemas. We're talking about how we can expand them. Can you speak to like your process of, getting film released? Yes, you have a distributor, but how does Omoni look at each of our film products or our films in terms of getting it to the marketplace, particularly when it comes to cinema? What's your thought process?
So, every film is different, right? So, of course, you treat every film differently. The Uprising, for instance, for those of you who saw it, the main characters are a group of local market women. The same characters that were in Wives on Strike 1 and 2, and now we've added some more people. So one of the things that we're doing for this film in particular, so we always have to come up with different marketing strategies. I mean, all the cinema meet and greet and all of those, we started that back 10 years ago, right? Everyone's doing it now, so it's a bit old, yeah. So we'll do it regardless, but you have to always think, what else can you do? What's the innovation? What else can you bring? And one of the things we are doing with the Uprising, which I'm so thankful for my partners, Nile, is we have a platform, a voucher system. It's revolutionary, where you can actually purchase tickets now. The movie doesn't start showing till October 18th, but you can purchase tickets now. Not only can you just purchase tickets, you can gift vouchers. So there's so many people in Nigeria and in Accra, because I think we have a partner in Accra, who cannot afford to go to the cinemas. They should, because the cinema is not supposed to be elitist. It's supposed to be for everyone. But there are people, local market women, for instance, they're just trying to get their next meal. They can't afford to go to the cinemas. So what we're doing is we're getting our friends and fans and family from all over the world, wherever you are in the world, Timbuktu, Antarctica, wherever, you can literally buy vouchers through our website, theuprising.ng, and these vouchers will be gifted to people who cannot go to the cinemas on a normal day. So we are going to take buses to the markets, to mechanic workshops, to places where people cannot afford tickets. And we're going to bring them to the cinemas to have a good time. So that is one thing we're doing differently this time. No one has done it before. And we really hope it's going to make a big difference. Not only is it going to, you're giving the gift of love to someone, not just that, but it's also going to affect our box office takings. Right? So everyone gets to make more money at the end of the day. The filmmaker makes more money. That's me in this case. The cinemas make more money. My distributors will make more money. But everyone is happy. Right? So that's one thing we're doing this time that is just, for me, is everything.
Before I come back to you, just talking about film marketing, I think it's always very, necessary and important to kind of recognize people that have blazed the trail, that have done things in the industry, and have given us, a platform to be on. I want to recognize Mr. Kene Okaru, one of the doyens of film business on the continent. Mr. Kene, take a bow.
Hello, Kene.
Odeon Streatham, GM for 23 years, one of my boss. All right. So I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask one or two questions, but I'll ask this question I think is very important. Just as we talk about business, everybody, depending on what training or sessions you go, people talk about work-life balance.
Yeah.
So Omoni, the actress, Omoni, the wife, Omoni, the mother, Omoni, the sister, Omoni, the latest Grammy, Omoni, the diasporan filmmaker. How do you combine all of those things? Omoni, the fantastic YouTuber, Omoni in Africa Cinema Summit. How do you combine this? And you've now been married for 23 years? Mm-hmm. How do you combine all of that with such effortless ease? It'll be great to hear.
Okay, first things first, it's not effortless.
It looks like.
Yeah, it just looks that way. So I wasn't born with a silver spoon. People see me now, looking good, talking nice. No, I wasn't. My mom, I grew up with a single mom. My parents separated when I was a baby. Literally, I wasn't even one, and marriage packed up. So my mom brought my sister and I up, and she was a teacher. And you know, in Africa, I think all over the world, they say teachers have their reward in heaven. The only thing it means is that they don't have money here on earth. That's what it means. It's not like there's some special meaning. It just means that they're not well paid, right? So, of course, my mom wasn't well paid. But the good thing about it is that she worked in a company, I don't know, some of you might not remember, Delta Steel Company back in the day. They had the best schools, the best medical, we had the best medical care, all of that. So it looked like we were okay. You know what I mean? So I went to the best schools, you know, but the actual cash money was not there. So we struggled a lot. So my mom had to do different things. And of course, if your mom is doing all of those things, you're doing it with her. So I'd wake up at 4 a.m. every day, and I have to fry granules, I have to bake pastries, fry pastries before school, before 7, you know. And then we come back from school, we have to go and, we had a farm. We literally have to go to the farm. So I grew up understanding you had to do different things. So it's part of my upbringing, right? So I don't run away from work. I just take it like, I gotta do what I gotta do. And that's it, right? So the work part is, I won't say it's easy, but it's part of me. I don't run away from it. However, having to balance family and work and all of those things, I don't know if you can actually call it balance. I just know that when it's time for my family, I give them quality time. Because I'm not there all the time. So, but when I'm there, they need to know that I'm there. So that when I go, you will miss me. You know what I mean? So I'm doing, like, sometimes I fly in from the door. You know how North American homes are, where it's like, you can see kitchen, living room, everything is just open plan. I'm walking straight from the door to the kitchen. I drop my bags at the door, and I'm walking straight to the kitchen to cook. Because in my house, I'm just a wife and a mom. I'm not a celebrity, right? And a grandma now. So I'm doing everything that I've always done for them. You know, yeah, my boys are grown now, but they're still my babies, right? So they still say, Mom, can you make something special? I'm like, of course, straight away. You know, because I'm not there all the time. So, yeah, of course, mom guilt comes in and all of those things. But I try to make sure that every part of my life gets what it deserves.
Fantastic. Round of applause again. We're going to ask final question before we go to the audience for a few minutes. Again, please permit me. I'm sure I have the privilege to be able to, again, recognize one or two people as we continue to remember them. They're very unassuming. They don't like to be known or seen. But I'd like to recognize Tony Tago and Danny Dama for the work they do for the continent as well. Please be seen. Take a bow. And my Ghanaian brothers, thank you very much. Omoni, last question from me. Of the technical things you do while making a movie, we've said writing, directing, producing, executive producing. Which one would you say you're most competent? 1. 2, how does it feel? How do you direct yourself and starring? So yeah, how do you, you're directing others and you know what performances you want, you know where the camera should be, lighting. How do you know you've given the best performance?
Yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not even gonna lie, it's really tough. So it's tough in a way that when you're acting with someone and you're the director, you're directing them while acting. So you're watching their acting, and sometimes you tend to forget yourself. You forget that you're an actor as well and you're acting. So you're engaging with your co-star, both as a director, it's very tricky, both as a director and an actor. So sometimes I have to say, you know what, let's take that again, because now I'm sure you got it, right? So I now have to get it. I now have to get it to my own satisfaction for myself, right? So it's quite tricky, but I thoroughly enjoy all the roles that I play. I mean, nowadays, I have producers, right? So I'm not really doing all of the production work. Of course, I'm still overseeing it, but I'm not doing all of the production work. Special shout out to my girl, Tomi Adeoye, who's been with me from the very beginning. Like, stand up, Tomi. Honestly, I would not be here without this young lady right here. You know, she started with me as a PM, right? Tommy started as a PM? Yeah. So now she's a full-fledged producer, producing like major movies on Netflix and this and that and that. And she's also my partner on YouTube.
Wow, interesting. Fantastic.
You know what they say? You know, what is worth doing is worth doing well. And when you do anything, do it with a lot of diligence, right? Tommy started as a production manager, but she's a major producer now, and she's partnering with me. I mean, I'm saying 50-50 partner on my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Collaboration, ladies and gentlemen, collaboration. And I think that's a great high point to, finish, our segment here. We want to kind of take it to the audience for a few questions, for an opportunity to ask questions or questions, because comments or commentary can be.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Esther. My question is, are you willing or are you able to help? I know I've spoken to a couple of ladies here today and they are producers. I have someone who came all the way from Nigeria to this place today. She has done some movie, but she just said something to me a few minutes ago and she said, she's wondering why her film is not on Netflix, in the cinema, right? But she's done some, and the challenge she's facing, only she knows about it. But if such person gives you her movie and she wants to partner with you, are you able to support her as a lady to maybe help her make that film grow or put in the cinemas? Are you willing to help such
That's
person?
actually a question for him, not me. Because that's his job, not mine.
Because I know she's been through some things that you've gone through. She's a very good friend.
Okay.
That's for him.
Okay.
Okay. We don't turn down business. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, speak to us. Very quickly, it's going through the process of evaluating whether the product or project is good enough for cinema, and if it's good enough, of course. And if it's from inception, is again whether the idea makes sense commercially, and we're always open to partner with such people. So the answer is yes, if it's at the right terms. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, my name is Gabriel Nia Masablankson, a student from Unimac IFT, which is a film school, the only film school in this country.
Love it.
So the rest we don't know. Okay, so I am a production design student, and I know how tedious it is to be a production designer, to be doing your costume, your set design, your makeup, props, everything. First question is, what was the budget for your film? Because I realized you invested a lot into that side. And secondly, I don't know if it's an advice or if you can throw a little light on it. I've realized that film directors and film producers in this country don't like to use those of us that have gone to school, but they like to use their brothers and their sisters that are doing, let's say, they sew or they can do makeup. At the end of the day, our films are not being able to be that solid for it to go far. So I don't know if you give an advice or you add some voice. I don't know if it's the same situation in Nigeria, but this country, thank you very much.
I can see it's a very passionate thing for you all.
Very passionate.
Okay, so first things first, nobody really tells you the budget for their film. So I'm not going to say it so that, the distributors will not tie me down to a certain amount. So I won't say, right? But just know that it costs me a lot. This is the biggest movie I've done to date. The next one will be bigger, but this is the biggest to date, right? So all my films that you've seen before now, none of them was even half as expensive as this. First of all, cost of living has gone very high. So cost of doing business generally has gone way higher. Crew and cast are charging way more than they did before. Everything is just way more expensive anyway. So yeah, this movie was way more expensive than all my other movies. Second thing, I would think that if you're making a film, you would want to get the best hands, right? My mom had just 2 kids, and my mom was a single mom, so I grew up with one sister. I love her to bits. She doesn't do anything on my set. Nothing. I mean, I could call her to say, come and costume them, but do I want my movie to be bad? No. I want the best. I want the A-list. I want the people who know what to do. I want the people who have studied how to do it, to do my film. So really, I'm not calling my family and friends to come do my movie. So I would think that Ghanaian filmmakers will take a cue from Nigerian filmmakers and get the best hands for the job.
Okay.
I should say it louder for those at the back. All right. So I think Ghanaian filmmakers should take a cue from Nigerian filmmakers and get the best hands for the job.
All right, third question. 2 more questions, and then we have our guests.
Hello,
Yeah.
good afternoon. My name is Maji Suini. I am a fantastic actor.
Yes, you are. I know that.
Maoga,
Yeah, Alpha.
the next Idris Elba in the making, inshallah. So, please, I wanted to ask you this question because I've realized that you have a pool of actors. You have cinema actors, you have YouTube actors, you have like different other stream of actors. And it's just amazing because that means that a lot of actors are getting jobs just from you, you know. So I wanted to know how you cast, how you pick your actors. Is it by Instagram numbers? Because lately, you know, or is it by talent, audition, monologues? I just wanted to know how the process is like for you. Thank you.
Good question, very good question. Majid, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
Majid.
very good
You have to
question.
put him in your next film. I can vouch for him.
Okay.
Yes,
My Oga has spoken.
thank you.
So it's not by Instagram followers. Reason being, I'm an actor first. So performance is very important to me. You can have 5 million followers. If you're a shitty actor, you're never making it into my film. Because at the end of the day, I don't want people to watch my movie and cringe. You know how you watch some movie and you're just like, okay, she's really bad, right? You don't want that. So the first thing first is the performance. Before you start to look at Instagram numbers and if this person can sell the movie or not, which is important, I'm not even gonna lie to you, because at the end of the day, you want to make a movie and sell it, right? However, if there are 30 people in a film, all 30 of them don't have to be stars or celebrities, right? So you're still going to pick people based on, not on numbers at all, but on their performance. So performance is first and it's key. So even when I'm picking the stars, I'm still picking the stars that first of all fit the characters and that are very, very, very good actors. So yeah, there can be 10 stars and 9 of them don't really know how to act that way. And we all know, come on, we're not gonna lie. There's some people who are like big stars, but you watch them and you're like, why are they always casting this person? You know, we know, right? So, but why pick that person where there's another big star who's really good, right? So again, it's not a matter of favoritism or, you know, you're picking your friends or the people closest to you. You're picking people who would really translate in the story that you're telling and will do a good job at it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm actually glad that I have the opportunity to ask this question in person. I have noticed that since you started producing your own film, you have repeatedly created strong female characters. You've had leading women. I really appreciate that because I aspire to be that kind of filmmaker, to give women better platforms and better representation in our films. Because growing up, most of our films had women not presented in the best ways. You know, we were given more reasons to ostracize women and to be negative towards them. So thank you for that. Now I want to know, the very first one you started, giving such position, how were you able to convince distributors and other partners to come on board and to buy into your idea and for you to repeatedly keep creating films like that?
That's a very good question. And first of all, thank you for the first comment. I made a really good film. That's number one. So they really couldn't say no to it, right? I made sure that my movie had all the right ingredients. It was very commercial, distributors like that because they know they're going to make money, right? But not just being commercial, it had very strong themes and it had really good actors. So it was a winning formula, if you know what I mean. So they really couldn't say no to that. The first thing, I know, first-time filmmakers, we're all very passionate. Most times we want to tell that story that is so dear to our heart. That story that you've carried for 10 years. The story might not be commercial. You don't want to tell a story and just you and your family and friends will watch it. How are you going to make the next film, right? So I had to make sure that my movie was very commercial. That way, they just couldn't say no, right? And shout out to Silverbird. They were my very first distributor.
Good afternoon. My name is Gilbert Ramikari from the NAFTI class of 2023. I'm a writer and a filmmaker. So my question is, it's going to be two different questions, one from the side of a producer and one from the side of a filmmaker. And the first one is finding support and finding the right brands to go to when you have a story is a bit difficult. So I wanted to know, as someone who's been someone fresh out of film school looking to get the right brands to back your work or the right source of funding for your work, is there any key advice that you think you could give to us to make the journey a lot easier? And the next one is, we all know that we're harsh critics when it comes to our work, or at least I assume a lot of us are, to the point where I usually am not able to watch my own work when I'm done working on it, because I just start picking it apart and then calling it the worst thing ever. Is there any advice you'd give to us so that way we are a bit less critical, or at least we know where to draw the line at picking it apart and trying to make it the perfect piece of art that we know it's likely not going to become?
Thank you, great question. So for the brands, I think the only thing I can say is, what are you offering them, right? Because they don't want to throw money away. They want to see value, right? So it's not just about, oh, give me this money and make it this great film. They're not your dad, right? Your dad would do that, your mom would do that because they want to support their baby, right? But they want to see value. What are you giving in return? So it's left to you to sit down and carefully craft what you're giving to them, the amount of publicity they are going to get and all of that. That's what's attractive to them. That's all they want to see. They don't really want to know anything else, right? So are you writing them into the story? Are they brands that you can actually write into your story? Because there's sometimes you put some brands in a story and it shakes the story. You don't want that. You want it to be seamless. You want people to watch it. I'm sure you saw one or two brands in the film you just watched, but it was very seamless. You barely noticed it. Because at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be in your subconscious. You're not supposed to slap anyone on the face with your, brand placement in films, right? So, but what are you giving them? That's what's the most important thing. That's all they want to know. If it's attractive enough for them, then yes, they will come on board with you. But if it's not, then they would keep saying no, right? So you just have to keep trying, which is why, like I said, I tried for 4 years. So I kept going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, what can I do better? What can I add to this? How can I present this project better for you to say yes to? So that's one. Your second question again?
Not being too critical.
Oh, not being too critical. Oh, gosh. I think we all go through it, first of all. That's the first thing you have to know. We all go through it, where you watch what you've done and you're like, God, if only we didn't crimp on this part, it would have been a lot better. If only we didn't do this. The first thing is, if it's done, it's done, right? If it's done, it's done. So you're in post-production now. How can you make this work look the most beautiful it can? You're doing your color correction, you're doing your music score. Music is very important in film. A lot of people don't know that. I can tell you how to feel. I told all of you how to feel here today. I told you when you needed to cry. I told you when you needed to laugh. I told you when you needed to ooh and ah. So sometimes you might watch it and it doesn't carry the emotion that you were going after. But by the time music comes, it's different. By the time you place the right music and the right sound design, it just takes the project from okay, mid to wow. right? So all of those things have to come in place. And you have to remember that it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's just going to get to a point where you're like, I'm proud of this. So if you're in pursuit of perfection, you're never going to get there. But just get it to a point where you're proud of it and you can proudly show it to people.
Good day, everyone. My name is Leslie Osaibunsu. I was really inspired by your story, Omoni. I hope I got the name right, Omoni.
What did you say?
Omoni.
Omoni, yes.
Yes, great. Thank you. And I feel personally connected to your story because I was also raised by a single mother, money was tight and all that. And I've also been writing scripts since I was a little boy, you know. And I actually recently finished a screenplay, a movie script, which I hope to get produced, you know. But I would like to know, because I didn't go to a film school, you know, I don't have any background in filmmaking. I did business administration in uni, and I would like to be a filmmaker. I would like to have my, you know, movie scripts produced and all that. What path would you recommend that a person like myself takes to achieve that?
You would have to go to film school. You have to get some sort of education. Please don't eat me yet. The reason why I'm saying that to him in particular is not an advice for every single person. Is because he has no background at all. If maybe he had been an actor, right, and he had been shadowing filmmakers and just generally working on set, then I can say, you know, go for it, or you know, hone your skills. But you have no background at all in film. You would have to have some sort of education in film. Because that's really where you're going to learn from. Where else would you learn from, right? Except you want to start going to people's movie sets. Are they even going to let you come? Right? So you have to get some formal education.
Okay, thank you. And one follow-up question. How easy or difficult would you say it is to get a producer for a script?
To get a producer?
Yeah, like yourself, a producer like yourself.
Okay, so I'm not a producer for hire.
Right.
Right, so there are producers for hire. So those kind of, you can get those kind of producers. If you want to make the film yourself, is that what you're saying?
No, as in I have the idea or the concept and then the movie script as well. And so
you want to sell your scripts?
Basically.
Oh
yes.
yeah, you can get in touch with producers. It's these days it's not as hard as it used to be.
Okay.
People check their DMs, people have emails on the, you know, in their profile and stuff like that. You can, yeah. Tommy's here, you can send her your script.
And Wendy's here too. So also, that's the business side. Wendy and Noel are here. You
see,
can
all these three people in front.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's please end it with our honorable guest.
Good afternoon, everybody. Omoni, Moses, first of all, can I say congratulations on your contribution to film in Africa. It's really inspiring. I'm an actor, a director, and a producer.
I have where I'm coming from.
I have two questions, really. I appreciate that you don't want to say how much your films and the budget is, and that's fair. But your first film, when you were gathering the money from your family, can you give us a sense of how much that first film was, just to give a sort of economy of scale? That's my first question. My second question, Moses, is really for you, is considering the advances of piracy, how does piracy benefit the film industry, and how does it deteriorate what you're doing as distributors?
Wow. Should I go first? Thank you so much, Adrian.
Question, PhD thesis.
First of all, I want to say thank you for staying.
Yeah,
you were going to leave. And then you said you'd stay for 10 minutes, and you stayed for, is it an hour now? You stayed the whole course, so thank you very much. I appreciate that, and the respect and all that. I love it. So my first film was 10 years ago, so we have to put that into context. There's been a lot of inflation since then. Life has literally changed. The money that I used to make my first film 10 years ago cannot make 10 minutes of a film today. It really can't. That's how much it has changed. But if I were to put that in dollars, to me, you should help. You're the producer, you have the numbers. If I were to put it, sorry?
I'll say 100K.
Yeah, maybe. About 100, if I were to put that in dollars, right?
100,000.
100,000
Yes.
dollars.
Yes. Because don't forget then, our currency, Naira was different, right?
Yes.
Naira has really gone down now, right? But for that period, it was about that.
So about 20 million, which was like 200 naira to one.
Yeah. It was,
20 million
it was a little over 20 million. It was actually over 20 million because it would put post-production and stuff, it was over 20 million.
So if it was that, probably 150K mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a small
It's
amount
not
of money.
small, no.
I shot in 3 states, remember? Like, I didn't shoot a simple love story. I was packing cast and crew and vans and everything and moving from one state to the next. So it wasn't a small project. Even though when I was done, I was like, I should have just done a small love story. People would have still loved it, you know, but hey.
Yeah, and I think it's that passion and audacity is 10 years on. You can see the body of work that has been done. Idris, thanks for the question on piracy, because it's a key point that is in every room, every film business room, that I think people just kind of, I won't say neglect, they kind of choose to feel like it doesn't exist. For us in Africa, it's a thing. But one can also deny that it has also, helped entrench the industry, particularly in Hollywood. It was piracy that presented the star system to us. It was, nobody knew how many DVDs were being made, but you knew that there was consumption of a lot of these DVDs, and the marketers had an idea of who people wanted to see in films. But a lot of those things were bootleg DVDs. What we have in the digital age right now with the likes of Telegram and all of that is that people are willing to pay for data to download, but they're not willing to do the extra mile subscribing. So they will pay data and download for free, but they will not pay subscriptions. And that is a real concern. So you get past the cinema window and you're in any other digital format. The next 6 hours is on multiple platforms.
Yeah. The day your movie comes out on Netflix, the same day. It's out already.
The best VOD platform in 6 hours in Nigeria particularly is on various Telegram accounts. And I think it then speaks to, I can almost say, the sanctity of cinema, because from a local content perspective, we've not had any real challenge with piracy.
Yeah.
The Hollywood films, however, within a week are pirated even when they're in cinema. But the local content, thanks to digital cinema, I don't know what to put it to, but I think we've been able to kind of contain it, technically, and shout out to all the African projectionists around. Local content, whilst in cinema, rarely gets pirated.
I've never even had that experience. Ever.
Yeah.
All my movies that have gone to the cinema, never once has it been pirated while in cinema, ever. It does get pirated after, when it gets to the major platforms, but not in cinema.
So, and that's why we keep advocating that, cinemas and cinema investments, and to the financiers in the room, I think it's really, really critical, beyond the cultural value, beyond the community value. I think the transactional component that you get, the really pure transactional component, and the ancillaries. There was a time in Filmhouse we sold DVDs legitimately through cinema, and you can also do VOD or transactional through cinema. There's a lot we can do, and we can rethink the concept of cinema, that can benefit us better than how it's done in the West. And that's what excites me, and I hope that we'll have more conversations on it. So I think there's a benefit. Even there still remains a benefit. As the films have gotten bigger, you'll find out that people are even commenting on social media about how they watch these films on various platforms, including the illegal ones. Including the illegal ones. It got to a time, some people were profiteering on the illegal, like, I have this link, 2,000, 3,000, DM me.
I'll send it to your DM.
Yeah, I'll send it to your DM. It happens, but we can't say that has not popularized, the industry and the sector. So that would be my take. And thank you very much for that very hard question.
closing
I
remarks?
think we've done I think we've done well. We can't take any more questions, unfortunately, but we'll be ready to talk to you all. Guys, it's just getting started. We want you to be locked in. There's a lot to benefit over the next 3 days. Thank you for your rapt attention. The Uprising is out in cinemas October 18. Don't forget. Thank you.
Please, and please, just in closing, I want everyone that lives here today to be an advocate for African cinema. So I want you to be a pioneer, so to speak. I want you to be an ambassador for African cinema. Go out there and make sure that we don't let the cinema culture die. It's very important to us. It's part of who we are. It's part of our culture. Whatever happens in the West would happen in the West. But you see, African cinema, it's growing, and we should make sure that it keeps growing. So go to the cinemas, tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, even your enemies. See, when they follow you to the cinema, they will stop quarreling with you. So take them. Make sure, you're all going to the cinemas to watch whatever movie you're watching. It doesn't even have to be The Uprising. I want you to watch it, but whatever movie you're watching, make sure that you're going to the cinema. You keep the culture alive. Thank you.